Hi, I'm Dr. Rena Malik, urologist and pelvic surgeon and YouTuber with nearly 2 million subscribers. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you social media strategy, how to choose a platform, and get started. Welcome to From Clinic to Camera, Building Your Brand and Navigating Social Media, created by yours truly, Rena Malik, MD, urologist and pelvic surgeon. This course is sponsored by YouTube Health in collaboration with Osmosis from Elsevier. The recommendations and opinions shared in this video are my own, but I want to thank YouTube for providing funding for the creation of this video series. So in this talk, we're going to talk about my journey specifically, which platform you should use, tools used to create content, and ultimately lessons learned. So my journey started back when I was a fellow. I joined my subspecialty organization called the Society of Urodynamics, Female Pelvic Medicine, and Urogenital Reconstruction. And my mentor was the president of the society. So in order to support him, I started tweeting at the meeting. And the other members took notice and they invited me to be on the communications committee in 2018. Then in 2019, I became one of the top 10 influencers in the meeting and, started to really grow my social media presence on Twitter, where I got to network with lots of other urologists and even got asked to speak internationally because of my notoriety. I then joined Instagram. I joined Instagram because I wanted to try a new platform to reach people. And I share this with you because now I have about 84,000 followers on Instagram. And I started with 1,000 followers after about 100 posts. And so, it takes a long time to grow on any platform. And so don't compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 30. So while I was Instagram, I started networking with lots of other physicians and came across no one other than Mama Dr. Jones. And I saw that she had started making content on YouTube and she was doing reaction content and educational content and she was doing really well. And that sort of inspired me to go on YouTube where I could make longer form content where it would be searchable and people could actually find it. And so this was my sort of first 7 months on YouTube. I made a goal to make a video every week. And so after about 32 videos and 7 months, I had a little over 1,000 subscribers. And I was like, oh, I made it. But it took a long time to get there. And so a lot of persistence and continuing, even though every video itself didn't do that well. So now, as you can see, I have over 1.9 million subscribers on YouTube. My Instagram is now actually 84,000 subscribers. My TikTok is somewhere around over 125,000 followers. And my Facebook, unfortunately, got hacked, but before it got hacked, had 285,000 followers. So when you're thinking about your platform, you want to consider your goals. What exactly is your purpose? And so here you can see that YouTube has the highest proportion of users across all age groups. And so for me, it was really a no-brainer that I could find my target audience on YouTube. And here also, YouTube had a very diverse group of people present on the platform. So white, Black, Hispanics were all very well represented on the platform. So again, I could find any of my target audience on YouTube. So what I will empower you with is that you already have everything you need. You have ideas to share. They can be medical or in your expertise or non-medical. You have a phone. So that's basically a device that you can use to capture video. And I did my first 50 videos or so on my phone. No camera, no nothing, just a phone. And you have time. So you have to decide if you want to use that time for social media. So tools for success. Now I share this with you because people get really overwhelmed when they're starting on YouTube. They see all these videos telling them to buy lighting and to buy a great camera. And this is basically, you can start with a really low budget, meaning just sit in front of a window and use the sunlight from the window to light your face. You can also buy a ring light, which is pretty affordable. You can get one and use that. And then you can do sort of a higher budget setup where you have 3-point light setup. And so that's what I use now and what you're seeing me on right now. And, it adds a little bit, but certainly doesn't detract from the message you're trying to give, even on the low budget videos. And some of my low budget videos continue to do well. People are there for the message and not the production value. So sound. Sound is important because, as George Lucas says, sound and music are 50% of the entertainment in a movie. So headphones are really easy. Everyone has AirPods or some form of wireless headphones, and that's going to be usually better audio quality than the mic on your phone itself. You can also buy a very affordable lavalier mic that attaches to your cell phone or your camera if you choose to buy one, and that can also amplify the audio. You just have to be careful that you're not wearing a lot of jewelry or other things that can hit the mic and create noise. And lastly, a shotgun mic, which is what I use. So you can see it right here on my video, but I keep it above my head so that it stays out of the way, but it still catches pretty good mic sound. Now let's talk about spacing. When you make your content, this was my first, I guess, setup I made, and you want to essentially make sure there's enough space between you and the background. If you're too close to the wall, it doesn't give you that shallow depth of field you need. You also want to try to frame yourself, so have things on either side of you, and then choosing colors. So the way I chose colors is I'm brown color skin, and so I looked at the color wheel and I found that blue colors are very complementary to my skin tone, and it also is a really good color for trust, and so I decided to make my background blue. But again, you can choose whatever color you want that goes with the type of message you're making, your personality, whatever it is, but something that you feel comfortable with. I have a decorative light in my background. You can see it. Maybe you can't see it on this video, but you can see it back here. And it also sort of gives you this bouquet feel that gives sort of a warm feeling to the image. And then adding plants to your setup can also feel like you're adding life to the image. And so ultimately, you can use these things to your advantage. And the last thing is having a light facing the wall behind you sort of gives you this glow around your head that is really appealing. And so adding that is another thing that you can do if you want to. But again, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can do it against a blank wall. You just want to make sure that you're further away, but ideally having things in the background is going to make it look a little bit more appealing to the person watching. Tips for recording. So it's very easy, especially when you're using a phone, to look at yourself and not look at the lens. And so if you don't look at the lens, your image will look like the one here on the side where I'm not looking at the picture. So make sure you're always looking at the lens. Also consider a remote so that you don't have to get up every time and turn on the camera because that's really important. Or, some of the cameras, like my cell phone, has a little gesture thing where I can just say hi to the phone and it'll start. And then this current camera I'm using has a cell phone app where I can start it with the cell phone app. Also make sure you stabilize the camera. So that's one thing I would argue you probably should purchase is a small tripod. You can put it on your desk. You can get a full-length tripod. They're not that expensive, but to stabilize the camera that you have so that it's not moving all over the place. So online tools, I use Canva all the time. I use this to create graphics. It makes it so easy. They have so many templates that you can use. They have images you can use, and it makes just any type of thumbnail creation really, really easy. I use YouTube Studio to schedule all my posts. Editing videos, I used to edit them myself, although you can always hire people to do that for you. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for long form video in the beginning. Now I don't edit my own videos, but that's what I used to use. CapCut is really easy to use, or YouTube Create is an app made by YouTube that's also really good and easy to use that you can edit on your phone. If you want to review your analytics, I use YouTube Studio primarily, but TubeBuddy has some nice little features and you can sign up for a free account that helps you a little bit with growth as well. Another one I didn't put here is called vidIQ that you can use as well. So lessons I've learned in my time on YouTube is listen to your audience. I made content initially for me and what I thought people wanted to hear, and ultimately I learned what my audience really wanted to learn about, and I went there and I talked about those things they wanted to know about. Consistency is key. Now, I told you when I started, I did one video a week for 6 months, and I think that's really, really important because you have to sort of grow your audience base and you have to show up and have a day where you're releasing content all the time. Again, as I mentioned before, don't compare yourself to others. People start at different places. Some people get lucky. They get a viral video early on, and that makes their growth skyrocket. Again, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It matters what you're doing as long as you're proud of it and you feel good about it. And also make content that you're proud of and won't get you in trouble, because that's really important. We're going to talk about that more in the legal implications of social media and content creation portion of this course. And lastly, focus on platforms that you enjoy and set limits. So if you find yourself like constantly looking at the analytics on YouTube after you release a video, you may want to set some limits. So you may want to use an app, or your phone has some inherent software that can help you block the app for a certain period of time during the day so that you don't spend all your time like wasted looking at analytics. Because it can be a big draw, it's a dopamine rush every time you see those numbers go up. So rules for success, particularly if you are in the healthcare profession, is maintain HIPAA. You want to always take a break between posting and any sort of medical. If you're sharing like a case of a patient, you want to obviously not do it that same day. And I'll give you an example. On Twitter, I had a student who was like, oh, this morning I got to close the appy skin to skin with Dr. So-and-so. So if Dr. So-and-so's patient was on Twitter and saw that, they may say, oh my God, is that my case? I had an appendectomy today with Dr. So-and-so. So a better thing to do would be like, oh, I had a great experience in the operating room today, period. Or just not share that at all. It doesn't need to be shared to the world, right? But ultimately decide what you're posting. Think about it twice. Think about if it was going to end up on the front page of the New York Times, would you be okay with that? Maintain professionalism. So don't badmouth coworkers, other specialties, students, anyone else. It's not professional, right? And people say it's social media, but at the end of the day, it reflects your professionalism. Lastly, know your practice or institution rules. So if you are at a student level, make sure you know what the institution rules are for posting on social media, particularly when you're on the grounds. So if you're in the operating room, or if you're in a clinic, or if you're in classrooms, like, can you take pictures there and post them? So certain places you will not be able to. So for example, at the Veterans Affairs hospitals where I work, you can't post anything from the hospital itself. And so it's really important to know that so you don't get in trouble. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys found this helpful. You can find me on social media at Rena Malik MD and on YouTube at Rena Malik MD, and I hope to see you there.